Okay, welcome back, everybody. How is your semester so far? It's week 13 already. Tired? Happy? Next week has a week of relaxing, right? Huh? Why? Okay lah, but it's still no deadlines, right? I think NUS supposedly no lecturers can impose any deadline on that day, that week. No, still says okay. Welcome to Study Life. I hope you guys can manage it, but catch a break next week. This is our last lecture, so just let's enjoy it together. Let's start. Today we'll talk about two things. One is data visualization. I think it's quite useful. That's why I would like to introduce to you. Yeah, as we said, the first question student will ask, will it be an exam? The answer is we won't need you to answer this type of question very technically, but at least you need to know about it. For example, I will ask, what is this data visualization for? Maybe you say it's not for networking, okay, something like that. So just relax. Why visualization? Because instead of giving people a bunch of numbers, I guess you guys write a report before, and a lot of time you need to collect some data or compute some data. But instead, remember last time we can actually plot a graph. And you can see a graph actually can tell a story a lot better. And we can let people to understand more about your data for speed and also for yourself to understand, because a lot of times you understand it from looking at the graph. And I guess the most important thing for your audience can be someone you need to present to, maybe your boss, maybe your client, maybe your apps. You're writing an apps, you want to give your user some analysis or presentation. And also dealing with outliners, which is those people who don't understand, okay? So you can actually telling them what are these. And last time we actually mentioned already, we mentioned NumPy, and we also mentioned Matplotlib. We would like to talk about these two packages. Why we usually say NumPy? Actually, I mentioned it a few times already, because NumPy is actually an extra package. But I would say if you know how to use NumPy, you will reduce your code probably at least by half, because NumPy did give you a lot of more convenient packages. For example, let's say if you want to create a list of number from 0 to pi, right? How do you do it in normal Python? I want to create a list of 0 to pi, but interval is, let's say, 0.01. Remember that. Why do you have to do this in Python? Because the range cannot be, the start-stop step cannot be floating point numbers. You cannot say I start with 0, stop as 3.14, and step 0.01. You cannot do that in normal Python. That is not for all our string slicing or range or intervals. Okay, so we cannot do that. If you want to really create the numbers from 0 to pi, which is the interval is 0.01, you may need to do complicated things like that. However, of course, when people have difficulty and a lot of people complain, you have some more convenience things. For example, NumPy, you can do that. You can create a NumPy array just like what you wanted before. This function is called arange. Be careful, what is called arange? It's not called arrange. Arange, okay? Arange, you can directly use the method of like slicing. You can directly tell NumPy, I want to start from 0 to 3.14, and my interval is 0.1. Okay, so you can use NumPy to do that. And it will create a NumPy array. Of course, you can do other way. The other one is linspace. What does linspace do? Because this one, you tell NumPy is from 0 to 3.14, the interval is 1. But how many numbers are there? how many entries. You may not know, okay? But sometimes you want to fix it. So the other way to do it is I say, I want to divide, I have all of the numbers from 0 to 3.14, but I want 100 numbers. Okay, so you divide it evenly. That is another NumPy function called lean space. Yeah, it's not linear space or nice space, it's a lean space. So you can use it to plot some interesting graph. The other package, last week we introduced Image.io, right? The other useful package I would say is the Matplotlib. Just a bit history. In the beginning, there was this math library is very useful before all this new generation of computer is called Matlib, okay? So, and then they have this Matplotlib function. They plot into that. But the import is a bit difficult because you only want to import the Python plot within the packages. So you can actually import only part of the package from one big package. So the Matplotlib, you only want to import the Python plot. And a lot of time, if you don't want the packages name to be too long, you can say import certain things as another variable. So I simplify it as PLT. So very simple. I can directly say, I create an array just now. I can just plot. After you plot, you should have nothing because when you plot graph, it's like drawing, you're preparing the graph. It will not show on the screen until you say dot show. So when you dot show, you have this, okay? What does it do? This is actually not a good thing, but it just plot all the numbers. But if you plot a graph, you know that you have the height value, right? But what about the x? If you don't have that, you just number it from 0 to n, okay? So you just anyhow plot the vertical numbers. Usually you don't want that. So for example, let me try to plot another graph. I do this comprehension to plot cosine. Okay, so because x1 is the array just now, right? I can do it in plot a cosine, and I just simply plot it. So you can see that I plot it in cosine and have a y value and become like that. So this is the cosine curve. Okay, but something is not right because I just said you just give him the 5 values. So Python will not recognize it's a cosine curve. So you can see what is the x range. The x range is 0 to 100. That's wrong, right? Cosine one cycle is not 0 to 100 because you didn't give it the x value. That's why each of the y value is just associated is index. So in order to plot it more correctly, you should actually do this. You see that when I do plot, I plot x1 against y1. So x1 is one array, y1 is one array. And then you are actually associate each x1 value to each y1 value. When you plot this, now it's correct. Because you see one cycle of cosine should be 0 to 3.14, right? So you can plot graph like that. Quite simple in Python. You can play around with all this and plot a lot of amazing graph with your Python program. Of course, you can do more complicated things. Remember, I said that you only will show the graph when you do dot show function. However, what if I want to plot more curve? So you can see that this is a linear space. I can create a y value is the sine function. And hey, actually, do you notice that I do the NumPy sine x? What is x? X is an array. X is not one single value. So this is another, you can say, cheating way of doing Python, NumPy. You can directly put an array into a sine function and it will give you an array. Okay, so that's why maybe you understand why I didn't teach NumPy at the beginning. Otherwise, it's very confusing for the rest. NumPy can do that. You can put an array inside a function and give you an array to assign every function. Is another way of broadcasting. And then now y1 should be the sine curve, y2 should be the cosine curve. That's why you can plot like that. And you can add a lot of things. For example, you know, right, when you do Excel, you can change the format, you can change the color. So this one, I actually add this one. This one is the other dash. You can give a lot of other information. One of is you can change the color. One green is G, B is blue, okay? And you can label it. Label means I add a margin here. So my graph, you can see here, the label is sine, this blue is cosine. I can even put the legend. Legend is this one, right? Where do you want to put this? You can say it's the upper right. And then you can put the title of the graph. It's more like Excel, right? You can do it a lot of this function like Excel function. So you can plot a graph, but it's actually only one graph, one type of graph. It's the line graph. You can plot other different graphs. Okay. Okay, so the other thing is actually this graph have a slight problem. Because you didn't specify, one thing you can see the graph is very tight. The empty space is tightly bounding the curve. In Chinese, we call 顶天立地. It means it's like when I go in the airplane, my head will like hit the ceiling and it's like, you know, Lord of the Rings when Gandalf went into Hobbit's hole. It's like, so it's not nice. Okay, so what you can do is you can widen the space a bit like this. Yeah, so you can, this is quite better, right? So what did you change? You change it here. You can change the y limit. The y limit is the graph. What is the vertical limit? The default setting is the maximum and minimum of the y value. But you can actually widen it. It's a lot of settings to change, okay? I cannot introduce every different setting, but you can enjoy that by looking it up. Like you can actually change even the line style. You can change it to be actually the dash means is a line. O means is a circle. You can do a broken line by dash dash. And you can play around all this. I can even use a square. SG is stand for a square that is green color. And you can even use 4. 4 is this little triangular shape. So you can play around with all this symbol, the whole table about it, okay? Of course, this thing you can search online. With different numbers or different symbols, you can actually create different lines to do that, okay? So the first type of graph we introduced, how do you plot with Python? This question was asked before in the assignment 6. Someone figured out that the Avenger picture, actually, you can post a few pictures into one windows, okay? Actually, that one was using Matplotlib. And if you don't plot a graph, you can actually put a picture over there. How do you do that? You can do one function called subplot. Subplot, you can see you put in a number there, 211 here. And 212, what does that mean? You will put in 3 digits. The first digit is how many rows are there. The second digit is how many columns are there. Is it okay? So I will divide the space into 2 rows, 1 column. And now the third digit is the current graph. Which position do you want to put in? You have two empty space, right? So the position 1 and 2 lah. Okay, so position 1 is the first graph. You go back to this line. Position, if you divide it into 2 empty space, 2 rows and 1 column, the first one is a sine curve. The second one is the cosine curve. So you can use this subplot function to plot multiple graphs on one window. And you can even make it more crazy. This one is 4 rows, 3 columns. So you tell me 4 rows, 3 columns, how many graphs can I plot? 4 times 3, right? you can plot 12. And then what happened is, for this, I put one graph in the first position. So the position is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 12. So the first position is my sine curve. And the 9th position is my cosine curve. Don't ask me why I put like that. It's just a demonstration. Okay. I just show that I can put the first position as a sine curve, the 9th position and cosine curve. You can put more graph on that. Okay. And of course, you can put even multi-window. Multi-window is different by figure 1 and figure 2. What it does is you will actually spawn different windows for you to see. Okay. It depends on your needs. Probably you don't want to do that, but Python provides you this plotting graph ability. You can plot different windows, different graph, and you can show a lot of data on your screen. Looks like you're working on something very serious, right? Yeah. You know those science fiction movie, usually they pretend they will put something like coding or something graph very serious as in, oh, this guy is a scientist. Of course, you don't only plot line graph. You remember in your high school training, it's not only line graph. The other is bar graph. So line graph is PLT dot plot. Bar graph is PLT dot bar. It's the same thing. Okay. So you can just plot a bar graph like that. This is the n choose k function. It's a binomial function. I anyhow put it to there to show you there's a bar graph. And if you don't like vertical bar graph, you can do horizontal bar graph. So horizontal bar graph is just bar h. Okay, it's very simple. And histogram, you know the difference between histogram and bar graph, right? Bar graph may be separate data. That means each data is separate. For example, I want to show what is the income for different ages. That is bar graph. But if you want to ask how the different data, what is the height of the tree from 30 meters, 30 trees from 1.5 meter to 3.5 meters, then you do histogram. Histogram is a cumulative one. So I assume you know what is the difference between histogram and bar graph. And histogram don't have gaps. Bar graph have gaps because their showing of meaning are different. I'm not going to into that. Okay, I assume you know what is the difference between histogram and bar graph. So you can also put bar graph. For example, let's try to make it more applicational, right? I just don't introduce a function. If you roll 3 dice, what numbers have higher chance? Mahjong, right? Mahjong or whatever. Which have the highest chance? That applicable to some games like Monopoly, right? Well, in Monopoly, actually there is a professional competition. I don't know how you play it. When I was young, we just anyhow roll. Whenever we reach something, we buy. Okay? But the real Monopoly game is not like that. There's an international competition for Monopoly. Did not play like that. You need to have strategy. In the start, you have very limited amount of money. You really need to use strategy. You negotiate with your opponent. Exchange land is a very complicated game. So for them, they need to really calculate and analyze what is the board distribution and which one is easier to go and so on. So the thing is, which of the you know what Monopoly, right? Monopoly is when your opponent step on your land you bought, they'll pay you. So which land you want to buy? Of course, you want to buy those land that has the highest probability people will step on you, right? So which one have the highest step? So you want to analyze things like that. So this should be the combination of the different numbers. For example, if you roll 111, you roll a 3. If you know 112, you roll a 4 and so on. Okay? But what is the probability of each one? Roll 3 dice. Okay? It should have a number from 3 to 18. And what I did is all the 16 totally different combination, which one has higher probability. Of course, you can go back to your math teacher and ask, but we don't care. We are a Python course. So I will do an experiment. Okay. This should be the real math if you do calculation. But what I do is I do experiment. I roll the 3 dice 100,000 times. And I want to calculate their numbers. So what I do is very simple. I just roll dice, roll dice, roll dice. And the dice is random integer from 1 to 6. And I will do this. And if you see that, this list of so-called dice statistic, I misspelled, so be DICE, okay? It's actually just a record of what are the numbers you roll. Is it okay? So it will be 3, 5, 11, 12. It's just a big series of numbers of the dice number from 3 to 18. And you can just use the statistic function to do it. So you just need to put in the whole raw data into this histogram plotting. And what is 16? 16 means how many bins? How many bins mean how many bars are there? And you can plot this. Okay, this is just plot for the program. You see, it's not a perfect normal distribution because it's by experiment, but it resembles the normal distribution very, very much, right? For example, here, this is the bin of the numbers larger than or equal to 10 and less than 11. That means there's the number of times you roll 10. So 10 and 11 should be the highest probability. And 16 means I want to divide into 16 bars. Sometimes you don't want to do that. You want to make it smaller. For example, I want a larger intervals. This is the same graph, but each bin size is 4. So I group the number 3, 4, 5, 6 into one group, 7, 8, 9, 10 into one group, 11, 12, 13, 14 into another group, and the rest into the other group. So it's the number of dice you occurred in that group. Okay, you can change the number of bins. And yeah, so each of that is a bin. Back to Monopoly. This is a professional analysis that the bar height is actually, if it's totally random, which place you will go there for what chances, okay? So you can see that the higher chances is this one. Surprisingly, this one is high chance, this one is high chance, this one is very low chance, and so on, okay? I guess there will be some calculation involving, you know, they have draw some card, right? And also there's some position you go to jail and this and that. So they take in all account and there's a brief probability of setup which land you should buy. And I guess Monopoly also set the price, whatever, according to this. Okay. Yeah. And of course, you can plot pie chart. Pie chart is very simple. You can just do pie here. Pie, okay? But there's some settings you can do, okay? You can set this pie chart, do you have a shadow, okay? Do you have a starting angle? Because the number will try to so-called align, right? So which one is the starting angle? You want to start from here or you want to start from here? Actually, you can change this free option for, and there's a lot of things you can change, okay? So what is the most popular computer languages used in 2016? Yeah, so also this one, I think this one don't need anymore. Because I think the previous Python version, if you don't set equal, that means the aspect ratio, the XY ratio, they will anyhow do it. So they will become an oval, but I think now default is this already. Okay. If you feel like your graph is very cool, you can save it. You can just use this save figure to save your file as whatever file format you want, or any format supported. So these are the format supported. You can save it as a PDF, you can save it as a PS file, you can save it as JPG, whatever. Okay, so you can actually save your graph. So you can actually produce some graphic format for yourself. Actually, there are more packages. Some are commercial, some are other things like this is another graph that produce some nice format. And there are other visualization like this. Yeah, this is a geoplot. Actually, you can get your map and plot it. I remember actually 2 years ago, I went to a Singapore secondary school science competition. There was one secondary school student actually use it to plot the Singapore, I think it's taxi distribution or something like that. He tried to make an app based on the taxi location to tell you which area has more taxi and which area has less taxi. That's helpful, right? If you need to call a taxi. Yeah, so you can actually use this Geoplot and so on. Some good tips in good visualization. I don't want to go for it, but I want to tell you one thing. Usually in your year 4, you go for year 4, right? Or year 3 when you graduate. Some of you guys will write a report for final year project. Let's say even you don't know final year project, you do some report, right? There is a very common mistake. Students just anyhow put in all the numbers there or just put a graph. This is my result. That's it. Is there anything wrong? It's totally wrong. Why? If you want to present some data, you need to make a point. My data shows that my algorithm runs faster in what circumstances? Or my study is using what chemicals is better than blah, 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 blah. You cannot just leave a graph there and let people guess what you mean. I tell you that is a very common mistake when we see people doing final year project. Okay, just want to say that, for example, this one, some people like to do graph like that. Okay, this graph, you can say what is actually the key point. The key point is about some types of farming and use different method, have different yield. But then the interesting thing is, why is it so colorful? You like colorful graph, right? But is it the main point of the graph? Let me show you another graph. This one. What does this graph tell you? This graph is trying to tell you the difference, right? So you can see the color actually tells what is the difference, emphasize the difference. So there's a good tips for a lot of graph. You actually, I'm not going through this. Actually, I have some slide on that. You can go back to the slide and read it yourself. It's not about programming, okay? But I just want to say a lot of time because too many times we evaluate project report, they give us graph that doesn't make sense. The first very big mistake is they just give you a graph. They don't talk about it. Remember it in your final report, this professional writing. I don't know whether you went through the course before. Professional writing. When you put a graph, first you must say, you must put a figure number. You cannot put a graph without figure number. Why? Because in your passages, in your language, in your English, you must somehow mention about the graph. Figure 3.9 show us that what results you have achieved, blah, 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 blah. The second mistake usually people do is put a graph there, but never mention it. They will assume the reader to understand your passage. No, don't do that, okay? So that is what people do, okay? And yeah, so yeah, I hope you guys interested about this graph and the more help on Matplotlib. Matplotlib is actually a good function for math computing also, okay? Okay, so I think I finished all the content delivery. If I get able, actually, I leave out that I will talk about that afterwards. I still have about 15 minutes of lectures, but before I actually removed that from that part. After this course, some of your seniors actually went to Google for an intern for 9K per month. A job, okay? So if you know Python, yeah, 9K. It's even 4 years ago, yeah. So it's real. You got the picture, but I think I removed it, okay? Yeah, this is the meme, yeah. This is a previous meme. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's have our last lecture. Usually you just wrap things up, okay? I hope you guys enjoy it so far. I try to make it more interesting. Yeah. Because I don't know how you feel about this one, like some of the glitches and this and that. If you go into other course, to be honest, we are all humans and we are all machines. You are using, there will be chaotic things happening, whatever, for other courses, okay? Okay, let's finish our final lectures. What is going about? What did you get from 10E? You mean you don't get stress from other courses? Less, really? Okay. That's good. That means you are learning something. Can you speak Python now? Okay, can you do Python? Okay. Are you a programmer? Let's have a few tests. Those who have a smile know what is it, and you are a programmer. Because we count from 0. Oh dear, you are a programmer. Okay. Yeah, this a bit like cold jokes. But aside from that, I don't know whether you appreciate this one. If you start programming, you feel happy if you first write a code and it works. But after some while, you start to do that. Those have laugh and smile, understand what it is, okay? Because after some programming experience, you know programming is not that simple, okay? You need testing, you need debugging, you need to actually challenge your own code, okay? So that is what real programming is about. This part happened to me a lot of times, okay? I don't get your code. What are these lines for? The guy think about it and answered, I have no idea, but the code doesn't work without him. Okay, I don't know how much time. Do you have this experience before? We do, okay? Sometimes the lines of code doesn't mean anything to me. And I just don't know why removing it doesn't work. Okay, let's just keep it there, okay? Yeah, and this actually from Art of Programming, there's a comics for that. Jokes aside, what do you want to get from CS10E and university, okay? So I really want to use this time because you guys are year 1. I really want to let me have 5 minutes of talking about this because I really want you to think about this. Are you coming to NUS or 10E for a safe future? How many of them in your mind? You think that I got a degree, I will have a bright, I can sit back and relax. I finished my degree, I can sit back and relax. Think again. There was a saying, you get into year 1, you find it hard. You get to year 2, you find it harder. Finally, you finish 4 years. Then let's see. Actually, going out to work is even harder, I think. Oh, the other thing is, this is a very harsh reality. In our course, we don't have bell curve. In reality, every job is a bell curve. Jobs is by bell curve. If a company does not make profit, he want to retrench or lay off people, no matter how good you are, it's bell curve. Even you are like working very hard, whatever, the company don't care, it's a bell curve. So everything is bell curve out there. But about us, You know, now we are so insecure. Even teachers, programmers, engineers, we are all very afraid of is anytime, even lawyers and doctors, medical doctors. We are all facing big changes in our era that a lot of things are changing. But is it new? Is it just that you are very unluckily born in a year just that is very threatening? No, actually it's not. In the past, a lot of things happen, like this is industrialization. That means when people start using, actually just, I don't know whether you notice it, in the past history, there's something called continental drift of jobs. For example, the first one, older time, like industrialization, when people start using machines. Actually, there was one very near, internet. You know, internet actually make a lot of people lost their job. And one more thing, I think this one you already passed it. Democratization of knowledge. Do you know what it means? In the past, only the professional will actually so-called give knowledge. Only the doctors, the lawyers, the professionals. But this is actually a book for them. But when was it destroyed? When you start have blogs, Facebook, Wikipedia. Now, if you have some rashes on your skin, do you go to the doctor or you go to search on Google? You go to search on Google. I have some itchy thing on my feet. Let me search on Google. I have some, I cannot breathe in the morning. I have a bit, whatever. I search on Google instead of going to the doctor. And this is not the only thing. You know that before there was an industry called encyclopedia. There's some real professional writing like that. Okay? And now these companies are gone. All the company destroys. So what I want to say is, it's no safe place from the beginning. Okay? I'm not trying to scare you. I want you to know that even I don't know if NUS or even you got a degree from Oxford or Stanford or whatever the top university of Yale, okay? There's no safe future. And what to do? What does CS10NE really want to teach you? Are we going to teach you how to cook? No. Are we teaching you learning? No, we want to teach you higher learning. That was actually a video clip before I want to show to you, but never mind, because it's copyright or whatever. It says that in your 4 years of university learning, a lot of senior actually come back will tell you all the knowledge you have to relearn again when you go to work. But why this university? University is for you to learn how to learn. Does it make sense? University is training you to learn how to learn. This one is primary school and secondary school. What is this? It's the airplane food. I suppose everyone ride on an airplane before. Okay? What are the choices on the airplane food? Yeah, sometimes you can choose chicken or beef, right? You can choose noodle or rice. But everything is fixed for you. That is what secondary school and primary school do. And I know that some of you still have that mentality. You are hoping Alan here as a lecturer tell you what is point number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Finish, you get an A. I can do that. Okay, it's actually easier for me. Think about it. If you come to my position, it's easier for me. But it's not a good way to learn. What is university in real life? What is it like? It's a buffet. It's a buffet. You can choose what course you want to learn. You can learn other things. You can eat until you cannot walk. Okay? I want you to know that don't be like the primary school and secondary school. Wait for people to choose what you want to learn. You choose what you want to learn, okay? I just tell you my university undergrad is very bad. But one thing I did it right was I learned whatever I want to learn. Like at my university time, I learned computer graphics myself. I go and buy books myself. I read myself. I even took the course of advanced graphic for graduate before I took the introduction to graphics. Okay, so not your lecturers. And all those famous people don't follow their lecturers. So which one you want to choose is your choice. Okay, so you want to choose the airplane food. I don't say which one is ethically good, okay? There are people like on the right ones. This is totally okay. Okay, I like my mom's food. I like my mom decide what I eat. It's totally okay. But when you talk about your future, you know how many years you need to work afterwards? How many? Maybe some of even guys, they say, I marry a rich woman. Then I don't need to work hard, right? But maybe, okay, maybe okay. But if you're going to work, you're at least working for 30 years or so on. Which one you want? You want every day. If there's a job that people give you the scoop, you finish it, you are done, that will not be a high pay job, okay? And just want to mention this guy is Charles Kao. He was my, we call it chancellor or principal of my Chinese university at that time. You know who is it? Google celebrate he died already, I think, but he is the father of fiber optics. Without him, you don't have fiber optics. You know what is fiber optics, right? But I want you to tell you his story. He start with, oh, the light travels so fast. Let's put some fiber under the sea and use it as a network. People scolded him. Who are you nuts? We already have the electric cable. It works so well. At that time, they used electric cable. You know, you are engineer. You know how electric cable have the problem of resistance and whatsoever, is slow and this and that. But he got scolded. He got objected. He's the only one go for fiber optics. And that's why we are benefit from him nowadays, have fiber optics. Then we have this super fast network, light speed network, okay? So you choose what you want to do and what you want to learn in university. Don't let people choose you. This feels like I'm not going to go through it. Like you go for it in the so-called video because it's too long. But I want to ask, in this world, always two mindset. One is the fixed mindset, like your secondary school. You just want to fix your minds and you want to go forever. But you guys are very young. I think you guys are like 20s. So you should grow. These are just, what is the property of growing mindset is you keep mastering your skills and you actually take criticism. This is hard. I know that nowadays the joke is not from me. The joke is from some, you know, those stand-up show. He said this way. He said, older generation, when someone scold him, you idiot. What will he respond? He will say, one day I will be better than you. I will work hard to show that I'm not idiots. But what is this generation? When people scold him, you're idiot. Oh, I feel so hurt. I'm not going to work anymore. I'm such a lousy, you know? So it's a growth mindset. See which one, of course, that is not a general assumption. So please be able to open up your mind. There's other things I'm not going through all of this. But one thing, fixed mindset is always ask what is the next exam. You only study that. It's nothing wrong, okay? You can choose to be like that, nothing wrong. But that means you are fixing yourself only learning that. That means you go to a buffet, there's a lot of dessert. I only eat the cake. I don't do anything, other things, okay? It's okay, you can choose like that. But there's also the other desserts. There are fondue, there are chocolate, there are ice cream, okay? The world is so big. Yeah. Did you learn something extra not required? I don't mean only CS 10 and E. Other courses. whatever courses you are. Do you? Ask yourself about it, really. You say no use that the exam is not including that. Don't think about like that. This is university, okay? There's always mark. What is the minimum marks to pass? You should not care about the marks, okay? The marks will fix you. I tell you 40 marks, you want to aim for 40 marks. No, right? So there's no use to ask. At least some of you spend time to argue marks. I deserve a few more marks, but you should actually spend time to learn what is the concept to strengthen you, right? Yeah, so, yeah, not really, okay? So don't argue marks. So you see whether you want to spoon feed or you want to decide what you want to do. That's I really want to tell you from the beginning, because you have 3.5 more years to go in your university. Don't waste it. This is a ground, it's like a playground, it's a sandbox. You can spill your sand, and don't be afraid to get low score in some course or fail. It doesn't matter at the end. Do you know, did I ever tell you what is my, we don't call GPA, what is my CPA when I was in undergrad? At my time, your maximum is 5, right? My maximum is 4. I got 2.7 when I graduate. I got second lower honor to graduate. But because I want to blame that in my course, I think I told you before, my school need us, my university need us to take half of the credit on art subject. I need to learn about philosophy. I need to learn about history. I need to learn about coaching, PE. I even took a class of dancing, okay, whatever. Ballroom dance, okay, no, don't imagine things like that. Ballroom dance, okay. And that's why, but later on, when I go to graduate school, okay, then everything A, because I don't need to take that anymore. So don't be so fixated on your grades. Oh, one more thing. It didn't mean I cannot get my job. After I graduate my undergrad, we all apply for our government program. I got a job, a lot of other people cannot. And at that time, they offer me the salary 4K Singapore dollar per month. I didn't convert. It's at that time 4K. Is I think it's 17K Hong Kong dollar per month, exact number on that time, 1994, 20 years ago. They offered me the salary. And I don't know what goes wrong in my mind. I didn't take the job and go for study. Okay, so yeah, so do not fix it. So what you want to choose? You want to choose the buffet or you want to choose the airplane? It's nothing wrong, okay? But if you think about this, all these famous people, what did they choose? Okay, do they take the school and then take the A and then whatever? You think about that? At least I know Steve Jobs and Bill Gates is dropped out from school. Because at them, you don't care. If you go and there are few documentary movies about them is Hollywood movie. One is Steve Jobs, one is Bill Gates about Windows, how they created. They talk about that, they don't care. The school is too boring. I think Steve Jobs at that time, they create his first PC, personal computer, when he was in a garage or whatever. So they just do what they want to do, okay? So please have this feeling. In this 4 years, promise me, okay? Do something you want to do in your discipline. Maybe you're engineering, create a boat to go to sail out to the sea. Okay? Maybe you are in biomedical engineering, create some chemical that explode. Okay? And so on. Do something crazy in your discipline in these 4 years. You're young, you can fail, okay? And you want to create a drone that carry you to fly around, feel free to do it. Just remember to carry a parachute. Okay, I congratulate you. Face a lot of hardship in 10 years, as you say you are stressed, but congratulations on survival. I think most of you surviving. Okay, please. And one last thing, I think other than our technical things, people do matters. So we do have a few lecturers, like Henry. Okay, Henry, I think is some of your tutors, right? But at the background, Henry actually help us in a lot of logistics behind. And you have to thank Prof. Koo Prof. Khoo managing all the tutors and your assessment and so on, okay? So he's doing a lot of, we call dirty jobs, like those hiring people or marking assignments or forcing tutor to finish your marking. You know your tutor is also human. You can do your homework late, your TA can mark your homework late. So Prof. Khoo is like whipping them to mark your assignment and so on. And it's me, and of course your TAs. Okay, this some are ODAs, and what finally is you. Okay, thank you everyone for this course, and hope I don't see you next semester, but see you around. Please remember to say hi to me. Okay. One last thing. There was student feedback exercise. I think the current marking is only 40%. Yeah. So 33 on one session and 30. Yeah, please go and please let us know some of your feedback, okay? Please, this is what they do call it. Please be constructive, be specific, and please be considerate, okay? And thank you, and hope you guys enjoy and learn something in this class. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thanks.